Welcome back, everybody, to Pro League. MVP versus CJ Entis. We just saw Hero try to cheese, and he failed. And now we're going into our second Protoss versus Protoss of the night on Deadwing, a much larger map. Probably going to see a little bit of a longer game.
And this is a guy we have not seen. Oh, actually, we did see him once. He did lose the game, actually, against a Protoss. So I guess that's why he's got that downwards arrow. I'm not exactly sure. We just don't have too much information on this guy, in recent times at least.
He tried to qualify for both individual leagues, as far as I know, too, and failed in both. So he's just been having a rough time. He is a GSL champion, guys. Just to remind you, I mean, he once won a GSL against MC, who was at the time insanely favored against him. No one was saying Seed was going to be able to do this, just because it was his first finals versus MC. Had so much experience on the grand stage. And Seed just showed up with his A game and won in Busan. That's where that finals was. I was there. It was amazing. It was an insanely good GSL finals. But after that, he just fell off. He's never been able to regain himself. And Hush here is playing his second match for the season. An insanely good record versus Protoss. I think your assessment earlier is absolutely correct, saying they're expecting a Protoss on this map, and they got one.
Yeah, I think this is a very smart play putting him out here. Like you were saying before, Season Entis, they have so many players that are good, but Hush only coming out one time so far against a Protoss and winning the game. They're like, okay, we want to put you out here for the win. This is I feel like Season Entis, they definitely want results, but I feel like they also trust Hush enough on this map in what could definitely be a Protoss versus Protoss. They do get it, and I feel like he's infinitely favored here.
You know what's interesting is I believe he's only played 2 non-PvPs, which means that every time he's been put out, the coach has known so well what his opponent's matchup is going to be, what the map is. All right, guys, let's go into the second PvP to find out which one of these teams is going to take the lead.
Down here in the bottom right in the red, the Protoss for MVP, it's Seed.
And to the top right in blue, vertical spawns, it's Hush for CJ Entis. So, we had to get into this game really fast. But I was just talking about right before this game that Coach Park is considered to be one of the best coaches. He was considered to be in StarCraft 1 by almost everyone to be the best coach. In StarCraft 2, he came over and took on the task of trying to raise EGTL from their depths, and actually did a great job bringing them back at the end. There wasn't a lot of time to improve the team, as well. Coach Park said in interviews towards the end, he said, I tried to work with what I had, but I came in really late into the season. It was tough to actually shape them up and get them to where they needed to be. But then we saw last season, he brought CJ Entis from basically like 6th place-ish, where MVP is right now, all the way to 1 game away from being in the grand finals of Pro League. So this guy's a great coach. He's put Hush out so many times, 5-1 in PvP, and that's 6 out of 8 matches PvPs he played. So they've been able to accurately assess exactly which players are going to come out on the map, so you can play that PvP snipe that he's so good at this matchup. And that's really impressive to me, just to see that and watch this unfold. I think it's a great pick. Now, when I first saw the lineups on Friday, I was like, I don't know about this Hush pick, but the more and more I think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Loving Hush's play in PvP specifically. And so far in this game, we do have Seed go for a 12-gate and a bit faster gas here, whereas Hush just goes pretty normal economic 13-gate. And we do have the 2 gases coming out here for Hush, whereas Seed has only gone for 1. So we could see a bit of a more aggressive style here out of Seed. He could even go for an expand if that's what he wants to use his extra minerals on. But we'll have to see. I mean, Deadwing's a big map, but expanding fast in PvP can be dangerous at times, depending on what your opponent does, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it vertical spawns as well. We're not talking cross here. Second gas does go up. It's not so late that Hush could steal it, although it was borderline with that scout timing. And both players totally in the know right now about gas timings, minerals mined, core timings. So easy to just check that when you have this probe in here. And they can even check the chrono boost. In fact, I'm going to check that right now.
You go ahead and do that.
He's hiding the chrono. He's actually not chrono boosting anything right now.
Yeah, funnily enough, he does go for that Stalker and Warp Gate research as fast as possible. And then he finally goes for the chrono boost on the Mothership Core here.
Yeah, and he does show that, so perhaps a bit of hesitation here. So that's definitely not really the most efficient way he could have used this chrono.
How did that probe die? What actually happened to that guy? There's nothing out here for Hush just yet, but the probe has died. Pretty interesting.
Must be one of the probes killed it or something.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be annoying for Seed. He has actually no idea what's going on at the base of Hush, besides seeing the 2 gases. Got to know it's a pretty fast tech build here. Whereas for Seed, he's just, with that faster, the faster gateway and the faster cybernetics core out here, he's just going to go for a bit of a warp gate rush with 3 gates out here, going to try to put on the pressure. Whereas Hush is just throwing down that Stargate.
Well, that's where all that extra chrono is going to be able to go, is into that warp gate research. I think he was really just considering hiding that, while the probe was there, and he was like, I'm just going to save it. It's not going to be the most efficient chrono energy, but I'll have that stacked up later for just that hidden extra boost on my warp gate research. We have seen Oracle builds hold this type of warp gate rush really well in the past. If you can get that Void Ray out, especially, then you're going to be in pretty decent shape. This is obviously the Stargate here for a delayed Oracle that's going to come in later. Unless he just goes straight up for a Phoenix here, which would be crazy. It'd be like the blind counter. And then he would just have the counter of the Oracle and then still a ton of gateway pressure to come across the map. Let's see how he decides to use this.
Oh, the probe sees it. I'm not sure if he actually saw it with his own eyes.
Well, he definitely did, because he canceled that Twilight Council and decided to make a Void Ray, which is absolutely what he needs. Phoenix obviously a bit too late for this Oracle.
Yeah, that's what he just had that Mothership Core back here. Just going to throw down that Nexus Cannon as soon as he notices here. Oracle already getting some kills. Actually, only 1. Not the best micro on that guy, so he's able to just get 1 kill. He's going to have to back off. Whereas at the front of the base here for Hush, already 6 Stalkers up there and forcing that Nexus Cannon out.
This is such a cool build by Seed. It's so flexible, especially great against somebody who goes Stargate. And he's just continuing to warp in units, even now warping in a Zealot, just so he has constant unit production. And another pylon up here on the high ground. That Nexus Cannon isn't going to last much longer. And he's even bringing his Mothership Core because he knows that with the Phoenix at home, he has nothing to worry about for the Oracle. Coming in now to the south, he's just going to leave it right on top of his mineral line.
Yeah, that is so interesting, actually. Just going for that Stargate to leave 1 Phoenix back there to defend against this and bring your Mothership Core into the fight. While that Oracle comes in, he's going to go in for the fight.
So he's going to start picking off these pylons.
Yep, exactly. If you can get that other pylon, those 3 gates are not going to be powered here.
You're absolutely right, Valdez. And that's a big problem. A great force field here as well. And he's just going to be able to target this Void Ray down. Too much DPS here. Second Void Ray comes out at a pretty opportune moment. Great micro on that Void Ray here, but it's still just not going to be enough. He doesn't have the production. He doesn't have the warpins that he needs. And more Zealots coming in now to help deal with the probes. This Void Ray will fall. But you know what? He actually did a lot of damage to that Void. And now he's got the better Stalker count, and that pylon's going to finish, which is going to give him a Warpin.
Once he gets that and the extra Warpins, look at this Mothership Core over here doing nothing. Of course, it did not have the energy to use any of its spells. Now it does, but it's too late. It was just attacking that Warp Gate, and it was not helping out in the fight at all. And I feel like just able to squeeze out that second Void Ray right in time was what gave Hush the defense there.
That Void Ray served 2 purposes. It actually was... It was not even a glass cannon, it was like an iron cannon because it tanked and did damage. He targeted it because he panicked against it. He was like, I gotta kill this really fast. And then the Zealots and the probes surrounded his Stalkers, so they were killing the Stalkers. The Void Ray did a lot of damage and then absorbed all that damage. Then, boom, the Warp Gates are back up. And I can use those when I have the money for it because the Void Ray, the second Void Ray wouldn't have been able to afford if he was trying to rush Stalkers out at the same time. And I feel like maybe the better move would have been to run away from those probes in the Void Ray until the prismatic alignment is done. But he really thought he saw blood in the water. He really thought he had it there. Oh, God, this is so awkward. This is a great way for Seed to get back into this game. This unscouted Oracle could do a lot here, but he does have Stalkers ready.
Yeah, and only 2 Phoenixes coming to the base of Seed. Maybe able to pick up 2 probes, which is something. Can go for those gas probes if he wants. Doesn't even decide to pick them up.
Just scouting first. Doesn't want to take any chances.
No, guess going to save that energy for now. Here comes the Oracle. Like you were saying before, 4 Stalkers will be enough. Just going to go for the Revelation and back off.
Seed needs to make a decisive choice here. I mean, he has a Robo.
Uh-oh.
But, you know, on this map, it's tough at this point to actually do something with that. Oracle's going to get this blown up here and killed. Just hoping he could hide it, which is another, you know, kind of a, I guess, a weird hope. I mean, he's so far behind that you have to take risks like this instead of just targeting probes. I mean, well, I guess I'll get one probe, and the Oracle will die. He was hoping he could hide it and maybe do something with it later. And he's taking a hidden base to the bottom left, which I like, because when you're behind, you have to take insane risks. These Stalkers are moving across the map. They're known, of course, to Seed. He's very well aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Blink about to finish here. If he does have that Observer out. He's only getting that Robo now, though. He's going to try to get that Observer here, maybe try to blink into the main, possibly pick off some of those probes.
This is a great choice by Seed because at right now, if this probe gets scouted, that's weird. That might tip him off. But for Hush, he's like, okay, you're on one base.
Look at this.
Yeah, he knows. He's like, you're on one base, and you have Immortals and you have defense. I'm not going to attack you. So if this base is going to get scouted, this is excellent for Seed. Because opponent's like, oh, I have a better economy. I'm 2 base, you're on 1. And you have Immortals, but I don't care because you're going to eventually get overwhelmed by me. But seeing that probe, he's like, oh, this has to be a hidden
so
base.
obvious, man. You know, where's that probe going where he's got minerals in his hand? He's just coming from the left side of the map. Like, he didn't just go on vacation. He was doing something sneaky over here. And here we go. He does get the scout. Seed immediately takes a huge sigh. He is not happy with this.
Well, he's probably frustrated. He's probably like, oh, I accidentally sent that probe home. He might have just right-clicked on the minerals and it went home that way because there's no reason to send that probe home. And that's actually potentially what's going to cost him this game. I mean, he was already behind, but it's definitely something that tipped Hush off here if he wasn't already suspecting what was going on. And now Seed's in this awkward position where he feels like he's forced to attack, and he basically is.
He basically is. I mean, he's got 2 Immortals out here. He has to save this Mothership Core. He could actually just sacrifice the 2 Phoenixes here, go for that Mothership Core. That could be very huge.
That's exactly what he's going to do.
Getting super low here. A couple more shots will do it, and there we go. He even saves both of his Phoenixes.
Insane control.
I feel like Seed just being a bit frustrated, not really watching that at the same time.
Attacking into this location is almost suicidal as well.
Hush has got Blink. He just blinks forward, picks up the Immortal. That's going to be it, guys.
That's going to be game over, ladies and gentlemen. That Immortal survives. He gets a few more shots off. The force fields here are pretty good. In fact, you know, he's actually a bit far out away from his warp ends as well, and Zealots are hitting on those Stalkers.
Where's the Mothership Core of Hush, actually?
Well, not anywhere nearby. Probably ready to drop a Nexus Cannon, I hope.
He doesn't actually have one.
He doesn't have one at all? Is this actually going to turn around?
No, he's got a second Immortal coming out here. He's going to try to fight with some probes. Gets a big warp-in at the same time. But again, another warp-in by Seed in the back here. But with the 2 Immortals still left alive, it's going to be just too much. He can even just send those probes back. He's going to make a Matter Nexus, man.
He's got Blink, too. That's the biggest issue on top of everything else. Just keep chasing. Seed, very unhappy with this, but this is PvP. Now he's got a few warped-in units to come from the side, and the probes are all dead, but it doesn't matter because he still can't win the fight, and he can't outmaneuver with the Stalkers because Blink. GG. Well, I mean, good build. I think he got a bit too antsy on that Void Ray. I feel like had he just been a little bit more patient and pulled back while the probes are not mining, maybe snipe some probes and kind of kite back, maybe we would have been able to overwhelm. It's rough, though, if you let your opponent get a Void Ray out.
If you let him get one Void Ray out, he gets a second one, and then you're missing your timing, you know? He's going to get a third one. He's got 3 gates as well, so he's going to be warping in the same amount as you if he just goes for warp-ins by itself. It's kind of hard. It's a rough position.
It's tough to make choices like that on the fly, too, because you can't even think for a second about it. You have to do it. There's no time to think. Am I shooting the Void Ray or am I not shooting it? You got to make that decision in like 0.1 seconds, and if you don't, then you're going to lose the game regardless of what you choose. If your Stalkers are not firing for 1 second at either targets or kiting or doing anything like that, if you're thinking, you're losing. That's actually how that works. You have to react. You cannot think and then act. That's not how this sort of build works.
It's a very aggressive build, and at the top level, like if you guys are playing Silver Gold out there, you're like, oh, I've made this work thousands of times. But like Hush knows that his build can sometimes lose, but if he gets out 2 Void Rays, he should be okay, and that's exactly the amount of time that he was given, so he's able to do that. Of course, the Mothership Core with the Nexus Cannon is what gives him most of that time, and that's why it's a very good defensive unit.
Well, Seed did a great build. It's an excellent build because if his opponent's going Twilight Council tech, for example, then his Oracle comes in and does harassment while he pokes at the front against a smaller Stalker count, and eventually he can wear it down and take his own Nexus. We've seen this a lot in the past, sometimes even with proxy Oracles with the 3 Gateway Rush like this. We've seen that a lot. We've seen that even on Outboxer in the past. But if it's an Oracle build and he scouts that, then all he has to do is make a Phoenix so he can deny that. So it was a great opening, a really cool strat that we don't see too often these days in Pro X in Korea, but we saw a lot of last season of Pro League. And not a bad build at all, just the execution, perhaps at the very last second there was some questionable decisions with this micro, but good hold there by Hush.
It's definitely an interesting build. If you don't go for the Stargate and you get another Warp and a Stalkers, maybe you have just enough to do enough damage to your opponent, but then again, you could be losing probes to the Oracle. You got to keep your Mothership Core at home, and after the first Nexus Cannon, that Oracle's going to